Everybody's got a price, it's the $1 million man. Podcast in demand. Understand, everybody's got a price. $1 million man. Everybody's got a price. $1 million man. Everybody's got a pod, it's the $1 million man. Podcast in demand. Understand, everybody's got a price. $1 million man. Everybody's got a price.
What's up, everybody? It's Marcus D'Angelo, and we are back for another episode of Everybody's Got a Pod. But this week, we're going to do something a little different. It's the most wonderful time of the year, as we all know, but it's also cold and flu season, and our guy Ted is down with an illness this week. He's okay, and we're actually going to be recording something this weekend. But for this week's episode, I thought we'd take a look back at something really fun that Ted and I did earlier this year. On my other podcast, The Snake Pit with Jake Roberts, I managed to get Jake and Ted together to talk about their rivalry and the build-up to their fantastic match at WrestleMania 6. Ted and I will absolutely be taking a deeper dive on the subject down the road, but for now, I thought it might be nice to get some perspective on the subject with a little help from Jake the Snake. We'll be back in action next week with a look back at the new generation era and In Your House season's beatings. But for now, enjoy this look back into the Snake Pit archives with two legendary performers who made magic of one of the biggest shows in WWE history. We are here in the Snake Pit, and of course, I'm joined by the Hall of Famer Jake the Snake Roberts, but if you're watching us on YouTube, you can see it. We've got something a little bit different going on. Jake and I are joined by the $1 million man, Ted DiBiase. Ted, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. Good to be with both of you.
Man, couldn't be more thrilled to have you, Jake. I know that getting the two of you together is going to make for some magic. Candidly, I'm fighting a stomach bug as we speak. However, I'm pushing through this thing. Let me say, I've been doing the job for about 2 days now. I'm ready to.
I hope finally... you shit yourself.
We might have me live shitting myself on this podcast.
That would be awesome.
Let's see what happens. But man, I'm just so thrilled to have the two of you here together.
No shit. Me too.
Good
man.
to be with you, man.
Well, before we get started, I did want to let everybody know that Ted and I also do a podcast together called Everybody's Got a Pod. Jake was kind enough to do the introduction for the two of us, and we are on our 5th week of that podcast now. Man, Ted has really taken to podcasting, and if you love what Jake and I do here on the Snake Pit, I can guarantee you're going to love what we do on Everybody's Got a Pod. So, Jake, we last left off on our story about Ted DiBiase back in January at around Survivor Series 89. But before we resume that, I did want to kind of take a look back at the history between the two of you while I've got you here. Ted, Jake has it that the two of you would have met back in 74 when he was acting as a referee. Do you have any memory of that?
Yeah, I do, because I remembered that, when I first met him, he wasn't actively wrestling. And I think you had just started refereeing. Am I right?
I had.
Yeah, and I mean, we were both green as grass. I mean, and I had, I actually started the summer of 75 is when I came to Mid-South and started. And so, and it was right around there when we met. So.
Now, any truth to the rumor that you may have punched Jake after one of your matches?
During the match.
During the match.
Yeah. He was wrestling my father.
You remember this, Ted?
Well, yeah. He said, punch me. Okay.
And you let him have it.
Yeah.
I figured, they're both about the same age, him and my dad, and,
oh, God.
I do not take that shit. All right. You guys were two of the biggest stars in Mid-South by the mid-'80s. Would you have been around each other, in between then and 74?
Oh, gosh. I don't
know. Yeah.
Where? Georgia?
In Mid-South, yeah.
In Mid-South. Just
in Mid-South.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys had crossed paths along the way. When did you guys kind of start to build a friendship?
I mean, then.
We're still working on it.
Yeah. Oh gosh, you're so much.
Well, Ted, by 86,
I love this guy. So I mean, I'm being serious. People ask me this all the time. They go, "Yeah, who was your favorite guy to wrestle with?" And it's a hard question to answer because there are several. You know, I mean, there's the people that were influential in the beginning of my career, the Funks and all those people. But I have said if I had to pick one, and I don't know if Jake's ever heard this, if I had to pick one, it would probably be Jake because
Wow.
we did the dance together so well, and
Yeah,
that's
we did.
because we came from the same psychology of wrestling, which is unfortunately a dying thing and needs to be resurrected. So anyway.
No, I mean, psychology and really just chemistry between the two of you. I mean, it was evident in everything that you guys did. WWE shared a video not all that long ago of you two working in Mid-South. Looked like you were at an outdoor stadium, and
Yeah,
you
Tulsa.
guys, Tulsa, and
Yeah.
you guys just killed it then.
Yeah.
And you know, this is years before you're on the biggest stage in wrestling in the WWF. So just incredible. I hear a lot about the party scene in Mid-South during that era. Are we able to share any stories from either of you at that
I
time?
have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, this just totally slips my mind.
Yeah, it's a good thing. You know, actually, Ted and I didn't get to do much of the party scene there because at the time, all the guys were living in Alexandria,
Yeah,
and we weren't. I was
Yeah.
living in Baton Rouge, and he lived in Jackson, Mississippi.
yeah,
So we made a lot of road trips by ourselves, where we hopped in the car with my father.
yeah. And then like when I first started, like again, go back to '75. You know, and the guy who got me booked was Dick Murdoch, because he, again, another guy from Texas, and I had, my relationship with the Funks and all of that. But Dick Murdoch also was from Texas, and he said, "Hey, I'm going to work for Bill Watts in Mid-South." He said, last summer you refereed. He says, maybe you need to get your feet wet and get started. And looking back at it from where I am now, oh my gosh, the unbelievable amount of talent that I was exposed to, the guys that I had to work with when I was just starting was just like, oh my gosh, unbelievable.
Man, some heavy hitters to be
Yeah.
sure. I mean, Dick Murdoch, what a legend, and a legendary beer drinker from what I've been told.
Right.
My dad had an old '69 Ford LTD that will tell how about that beer drinking with DiBiase and Murdoch, because they borrowed my father's car one night and went down to the French Quarter.
Yes, go ahead.
And they stopped on the way out of the beer joints to eat about 6 hot dogs. And those hurricanes did not mix well with the hot dogs.
Oh no.
And so driving back, Ted's got to go.
Oh yeah.
So he did.
Well, no. The other thing, before they be throwing up everything, we're coming off the bridge for the Pontchartrain, and thank God we had just got off the bridge and pow, flat tire. So now we're in Grizz's car. I mean, I don't know his car. Dick doesn't know his car, and so we're looking for the. It's kind of like you get the jack, and the old jack he had the base, but there was another piece you put on there, and that piece went all the way under the bumper. Not on this car. All this car had was a little slit, and there's just a little hook, and that's all you got to do is get that hook in the slit and jack it up. Well, us two dummies didn't know that. We're looking around thinking part of our jack is missing, and so I'm crawling around on the ground looking for it, and Murdoch's going, get up, Teddy. He says, car stopping. I said, good, we need some help. I crawled up to the 2 shiniest black boots you've ever seen. And I looked up, and there's a state trooper. And in Louisiana, they wear those Mountie hats, right? And he's got his arms crossed like this, looking at me.
Oh, God.
And his exact words, what the fuck are you doing? And I said, well, officer, I'm looking for nuts. I mean, lug nuts. He said, probably right on both accounts. But Murdoch could talk his way out of anything, and he did. He said, I apologize, officer. He says, we're wrestlers. The kid had never been to Bourbon Street, and I took him down there, and that's I got him drunk, and that's what it is. So he ended up, helping us finish getting the tire fixed, which that made us both feel like we were stupid. He said, your check's right here. He showed us to do it. We got the thing on. Now we got like maybe 10 or 15 miles left to get into Baton Rouge, and all of those oysters and chili dogs and hurricanes are mixing, and I'm going, I can't do it, Dick. I'm not stopping. I said, well, he said, just roll the window down and let her rip. And I did. I mean, from the window all the way. When we got out of the car, we were staying at that, the 10 Flags Inn.
10 Flags.
Oh, God, yeah. You talk about a place you don't want to stay.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. And so, we get there. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. And when I got up and looked out the window, well, it had rained. And so the rain had washed all of the crap off of the car. And then I walked around the back and went, oh, my God. Where we had tried to jack the car up and it fell. Well, when it fell, it was like somebody took a can opener to Grizz's bumper.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And so I called Dick, and he says, don't worry about it. We'll pay for it. So the next time I looked out the window, Grizz is there, and he's standing in the back of his car with his arms folded, looking. And then we told him, said, hey, Grizz, get it fixed. We'll be happy to take care of it. He says, you know what? I'm going to leave it just like it is. And we looked at each other and said, why? He says, because every time somebody asks me how that happened, I'm going to tell them about you two dumbasses.
I'm just going to go out on a limb and say he didn't let you borrow the car again.
Well, I didn't ask anymore.
Man, unbelievable. And I knew that it would just take a little bit of prodding and we get some kind of fun story from the Mid-South territory. Because, man, everything I've heard, it was like the Wild West down there.
It was
like the Wild West. It was a joke, but it was the truth. There weren't many bars the guys could get into anymore.
Yeah,
because of all the fighting.
Because of all the fighting.
Yeah,
and that was due to Dr. Death, Hacksaw, and a couple of others.
Oh yeah,
those are the names I always hear about getting into the bar
Hercules Hernandez.
Oh yeah, yep. He was another one. So
we were barred from everything, man.
Yeah.
Even you, Jake, while you're like just sitting there just trying to hang out, they're like all of you wrestlers out.
Oh, yeah.
Man, amazing. On both of our podcasts, I'm hoping to cover more of the Mid-South days because, man, I find the whole thing fascinating. For right now, though, Ted, by 86, Jake was off to the WWF, and you wouldn't follow him there until like the next year. So as your pal is off to the biggest stage in wrestling and enjoying some really huge success up there.
Yeah.
Were you feeling at all like you needed to make the move there as well?
Well, the other thing that I had going on at that time was I had a really good deal in Japan. Stan Hansen and Bruiser Bodie at one time were the two most famous pro wrestlers that were foreigners in Japan. And Brody jumped to the other company, to New Japan. And when he did that, Stan needed a partner, and he came to me and he says, do you want the job? And I said, God, are you kidding? It's a pig's ass pork. Yeah, thank you. Because my pay went up and my trips to Japan were more. So, I mean, Stan, once Stan had his deal in Japan, he never wrestled in the States anymore. And I kind of came to that crisis point with it too, when I think I was I was working Houston because Bill had, obtained, he bought out, what's the guy in Houston? I can't remember his guy.
Paul Bosch.
He bought Bosch out, so Houston was his town now. Anyways, I was standing in the back watching the match and talking to Bruce Pritchard, and Pritchard tells me, he says, I'm about to fly to New York to see about getting the job. And I said, well, throw my name out there. I said, they know me. I was there once before. And so I go on another trip to Japan, and I came back to the hotel one night, and there's a message. Call Bruce Pritchard ASAP. I said, okay. So I called Bruce and I said, what's up? He says, two things have happened. He says, when you get back to Mid-South, Bill is no longer your boss. I said, what? He sold the company to Jim Crockett. Bill saw what was coming. Bill's a sharp guy. He saw what was coming, and in my conversation with him, it was too far gone for me to start this. I tried. He says, but it wasn't going to happen, and so he just got out. So and he says, and the other thing is, do not sign a contract with Jimmy Crockett because Vince is really interested in you. So, and then the rest is history.
Okay, let's take a minute to discuss our fantastic sponsor that is changing the lives of men everywhere. Of course, we are talking about Blue Chew. Are you ready to perform with the confidence of the $1 million man in the bedroom? Are you ready to leave your partner feeling like $1 million? Are you ready to get that thing so hard you could go hunting with it? If the answer to all those questions is yes, it's time for you to give Blue Chew a try. Blue Chew can help increase your performance and regain that old confidence where it counts the very most. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but in chewable tablets and at a fraction of the cost. You can take them anytime, day or night, so that you can plan ahead or be ready when that opportunity springs up. The process is simple. Sign up at bluechew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. The best part of it, it's all done online. You can forget about those visits to the doctor's office, no more weird, awkward, uncomfortable conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy anymore. It comes right to you. Blue Chew's tablets are made right here in the USA and prepared and shipped direct to your door in a discreet package. But you know the drill, guys. There's not going to be anything discreet about your package. Men everywhere have never been more excited to see their mail carrier arrive, because when your package arrives, your package arrives. Listen, I know what your next question is. Will it actually work? Why don't you try it for free and find out for yourself? Something free from the $1 million man? That's right. You can try it right now for free. All you have to do is pay $5 shipping. That's it. Place your order now and give your partner a very pleasant surprise. Women are attracted to confidence, and Blue Chew can help give you confidence where it counts. Don't wait any longer. Time to chew it and do it. Take advantage of our special deal. Again, you can try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code EGAP at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's bluechew.com, promo code EGAP, and receive your first month free. Visit bluechew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring Everybody's Got a Pod. Man, and next thing you know, you're up there and you've got a gimmick that's unparalleled. Jake, one thing that I missed talking to you about on our last episode about Ted was that he came in, he landed this gig, pretty much as good as anybody could hope. We're talking about limousine service everywhere, 5-star hotels,
first class on airplanes.
Yeah,
Yep.
that got him some heat.
That's what I was going to ask. He's also carrying around, as Ted pointed out on our show, $2,000 in cash that Vince gave him, where he could just kind of spend it as necessary to prove that he is the $1 million man, and then just save the receipts. What were you thinking?
I would take the receipts to him, and he would replenish it. And of course, he said, don't abuse it or you lose it. And so that got over like a fart in church too. But but I mean, most of the guys were like, if anybody else had that opportunity, I mean, who's going to turn it down?
No.
But that the limousines all the time and all of that, that went for about the first year, and then we quit having then the limousines were just for pay-per-view weekends, and it was kind of like then I'm riding around with my chauffeur Virgil. God bless Virgil. I'm sorry, he's just
that's punishment enough.
Yeah.
I knew Jake would put the punctuation mark on.
Not right at all. So.
Jake, do you remember a lot of jealousy, or was everybody pretty much cool with it just because it's Teddy's paid his dues?
Teddy had paid his dues, man. There weren't too many guys. The guys that were barking about it are assholes anyway. So
yeah,
they'll bark about anything.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say bulldog, did I? Okay. Just making sure.
Oh man, that's what I love about you, Jake. Transparency makes for good podcasting. Well, we started talking about the rivalry, of course, on our last episode, and got into working together. And Jake was excited to get to work with you again, because of this chemistry that you guys had built.
Yeah, it's like wrestling is just like doing a dance, and we had great chemistry from the get-go, and I believe that's because we both came from the same school, if you will, of wrestling psychology, the old school way, and it was like after the first couple times, it's almost like, we talk in the ring, but it's almost like we didn't need to. It's like, I and Jake is the same.
Yeah.
I would do something. He would position himself. He'd, stagger over into the corner and turn around and say, "Oh, okay, boom, chop, whatever." So there was a lot of things that we did in a match where we didn't even have to talk about it. We just
fed each other.
That's it.
I've heard about tag team partners getting like that, where it's like after a while you can just kind of give somebody a look and they know exactly what's coming next.
Well,
or what
your action causes my reaction.
Yeah, exactly.
Or your reaction causes my action.
Yeah.
Both ways.
Yeah.
Man, interesting. A lost art for sure.
Yeah, absolutely is.
And
Jake,
man,
what WrestleMania did we work at?
6.
Was that Canada?
Yeah.
Skydome.
Skydome, and I took part of your money and gave it to Mary Tyler Moore.
Yeah, that was it. Nah.
And you know what? She fucking kept it too.
She might have been the richest person in the building, and she's keeping the money.
There was no sweat off of Jake's butt because it was my money.
Oh man! Well, we've got the clips from WrestleMania coming up. Before we get there, let's get back to Survivor Series '89. It's the Hulkamaniacs and the $1 Million Team, and Ted, you've got Zeus on your side. He's a huge guy, fantastic look, but
he was the brains of that team.
He was the one holding it all together. Man, he's an actor, and here he is. He's working with some of these really, polished, experienced performers. Ted, what do you think of the whole thing?
Oh gosh, I was just hoping that it didn't all crash.
Man, it's asking a lot of anybody to just step into a ring and sort of familiarize themselves. But fortunately, he got out of there quickly. I did want to mention too, Jake. Up to this point, I'm not seeing any mentions of you working on the way to Survivor Series. You had returned in October, but I'm not seeing anything about you having matches at the house shows or anything. Were they being extra cautious with you coming off your neck injury?
Yeah, they're waiting to see how it went.
Yeah.
Man, definitely for the best, but you're back in with both feet following Survivor Series. Ted,
and just so you know, the injury that Jake had to his neck,
it wasn't Ted.
No, it wasn't. But fast forward, that's what ended up. That's what I ended up having the same thing.
That's what ended your career.
Yeah, like C5, C6. They did a fusion deal, and I was about to turn 40, and because my dad had died wrestling when he was 45 years old, I just told myself I'm not going to stay too long. There's other things I can do. I could be a manager. I could other things I could do. I don't have to stay in the ring, and I just made it a personal thing that after 40 I'm done. And so it kind of all happened about that time.
Jake, do you think that if you had been a little bit older whenever you got this injury, you would have considered hanging it up, or just weren't ready?
If it was a little bit older, no, because I still had a lot to prove to my father and to myself. And, when you've been out there for years and you haven't really gotten that one good push, and let go for a while to see what you can do, you'll always dream about doing it. And I didn't want to dream about doing it and give up after 3 years of being up there.
Right. Not to mention, if we can give our listeners a little context, it's not like you guys had these insurance policies or anything like that.
No.
You're all independent contractors, and it's, this is it. This is your full income, and you're doing something that you loved and have dreamed about doing your whole life. Like, man, Ted, good on you for saying, you know what, I'm just not going to put my body through it anymore, because that's got to be a tough choice to make.
Oh, and it was, it was, and I think I did okay as a manager, but there were so many times when I was on the outside of the ring watching where, in my head, I'm going, gosh, if I could just get in the ring with this guy, I could do this with him. I could do that with him. And I know Jake thought that way as well about a lot of guys. So,
well, Jake is still active with AEW. Jake, you ever watching these guys in the ring and say, like, man, I could really teach these kids a couple things?
Oh, God, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God. Not with Lance.
Oh, no, he's there.
No, I'll never say that, because he's pretty much got his act together. They just need to let him loose.
Hopefully that's coming soon. And well, so after Survivor Series, like I said, Jake, you're jumping back in with both feet. You guys are trading victories on the house show loop, including a match in MSG on December 28th in front of 13,000 excited fans. You two had a lot of history together up to this point, but would you say that you were still kind of refining your work together as you're making these towns?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If you ever quit learning, you need to quit.
Yeah, exactly.
It's interesting because, I think a lot of wrestling fans kind of look at it like, well, they're a couple of veterans. They know each other. It's probably like very formulaic, town after town doing the same thing. But really, you guys are learning and saying, hey, that maybe didn't work this time. Let's try this next time. Something like that. Right?
We also want to know why it didn't work.
Yeah. And again, and I'm not knocking Rick at all, but a lot of times, if you watch Ric Flair work enough, it's almost like he has the same match.
Yeah, every night.
Yeah, he does. You can just anticipate what he's going to do.
The same bumps, everything.
Yeah, and that's as far as we're concerned anyway. That's not where it's at, man.
No.
So all of your matches, as you guys are going, is it just completely called in the ring along the way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like if we were like in a program. And like, okay, based on maybe what we did last week, this is what they saw last. And we might talk about, like, since that's what they saw last, maybe we should start this way. Start, based on what they saw the last time.
Yeah.
Kind of like if I, really screwed him over and what have you. And instead of just get in the ring like you're going to, I'm in the ring. And he just comes running down the aisle, slide is in, and chases me around the ring until he catches me. And I think we actually did a spot like that. But we would talk about something like that, like a beginning, but only based on history we already had. And other than that, everything in the middle was ad lib, and then and that's the other thing too, is when you're doing it and you learn, it's like it's an acquired skill. Listening to the crowd, it's like you just know, and then when you really got them and they're there, when to go.
Yeah,
and let's take it home.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
it's like making a bowl of soup. You got potato, you got the stock, you got the meat. Oh, it needs a little salt and pepper. That might be a heat spot or a comeback spot, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And you just keep adding it and build it, add it and build it, add it and build it. Finally, the soup's fucking ready. Let's get it out of the pot and into the bowls.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you dump it and go home.
The perfect analogy. And yeah, I've been fortunate enough to be behind the scenes for a couple wrestling shows. And on a couple of occasions, I've seen some of these young guys going through the steps backstage where they're like locking up and doing go-behinds. And
I know,
all this,
man.
and it's
Makes
like,
me sick.
Yeah,
I'll be honest. And I've said this before. I watch some girls work and think they actually work better than a lot of the guys.
Yeah.
I mean, they tell a better story, which is what it's about. It's like, it's kind of like, I don't know, Vince made a soap opera out of the business, but it's not what's going on in the dressing room and out in the hall and out in the parking lot. The story that you tell in the match, And that's where you get them. And that's just not, I don't know. It doesn't seem to be important anymore, because when I watch these guys now, I look like I'm watching a circus act. You know, they're just bouncing around the ring, taking bumps and not selling shit.
Yeah.
It has changed an awful lot, but let me say, you guys were telling a great story here. You know, we're marching toward WrestleMania, and on the way, of course, we've got the Royal Rumble. Ted is in the ring by himself when Jake enters, and if anyone had any doubts that what the two of you were doing was working, this next clip is going to speak for itself.
Look at this, Jesse! And what a showdown! This capacity crowd on its feet standing! What a showdown! Jake the Snake against the $1 million man, Ted DiBiase! Look at those eyes! That look! Once again, he gets in the first blow as the man slips in the ring. And they are on the floor. And a crushing body slam outside the ring. From behind. He's putting a $1 million dream on. Oh, but Jake rammed him into the steel post. And now it's Jake the Snake's turn. On the inside. Jake Roberts. To the other side. Back body drop. Onto the arm. Short clothesline. And that's usually the setup for the DDT. You're right. That's the setup move for the DDT. These fans are going bananas. Here it comes. Oh, DiBiase caught him.
So Ted wound up actually working that match for like an hour. He was the first entrant, and before Jake comes out, he eliminated 2 people in the crowd. You know, we kind of heard a little bit of it, but it was just really, really strong heat. But then as soon as Jake comes out, everybody knows that shit's about to go down. And man, that pop, Jake, just you teasing the DDT was getting a reaction.
Yeah.
Man, just absolutely incredible. I mean, were you guys getting reactions like that while you're on the house show loop as well?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, all the time.
If it wasn't, we were pissed.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, by this point, you guys had to know that you're on the way to WrestleMania, but it's got to feel like you've got lightning in a bottle here, right?
Oh, yeah. We knew, Jim. We knew we did, man.
Yeah. It was good.
Well, as great as that moment was, perhaps an even greater, or at least maybe more memorable moment aired the night before, which was really kind of what set you guys up for WrestleMania. Jake came down to the ring during Ted's match to claim a little prize, and we have the clip right now.
DiBiase all over thus far, Lee Peak. There's an unusual name for you, Jesse. You just thought that Pablo Crenshaw was unusual. What about Lee Peak?
Well, Lee hasn't reached his peak yet, and I don't think he will with the $1 million man.
Look at this. DiBiase is really going to work on Mr. Peak. Uh-oh. There's no offense here at all on the part of Lee Peak.
Plenty offense from the $1 million man, though.
Yeah.
And he's setting him up. He's going for the $1 million dream. Look at all that. Look at all that cash, McMahon.
Yeah, I'll say. But it'd buy you pretty easy. I know one man it wouldn't buy. I think he's with us now.
You're too much, man. DiBiase, you're gonna stand up here and say, if you want the belt, you can come and get it. Brother, we don't need no special invitation sent in the mail, no card, no letter, no nothing. You're good enough for me, and there's no time like the present for Damien and I to do just that.
I wouldn't swear to it, but I think that means a Jake the Snake. Here he comes. Jake the Snake coming into the ring. Virgil attacking him. Actually, it's Jake attacking Virgil. DiBiase and Jake the Snake going at it.
Now, what right does Roberts have to come down and interfere in DiBiase's match?
He was invited. You heard what he said. You want it, come and get it. And there it is, the $1 million belt. And Jake the Snake has it. Jake the Snake has the $1 million belt in his hand.
This
This is ridiculous, McMahon. He sneaks into the ring, comes in from the backside, doesn't face DiBiase, man against man. Now look what he's doing with it.
I love it.
Virgil, torn between helping DiBiase and the belt. Oh, that's great. That's going into the bag with Damien the Snake.
Man, just fantastic
Virgil
storytelling.
wasn't going to go after it then.
You got that right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I argued that point with Vince. I said, you know, Vince, we got to do something, man, because if I'm wrestling Ted, Virgil should just walk over and undo the fucking bag and dump it out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's just, you know, it's bullshit. So we got to do something. He said, well, what do you want to do? I said, well, let me do an interview where I have about 10 different poisonous snakes. And I just put up the fact that, hey, it might be Damien, or it could be this, or it could be this, or it could be this diamondback rattlesnake or Mexican rattlesnake.
Yeah.
And I remember doing that, and I didn't get to the damn studio till like 3 a.m. And I was way too drunk. And I let go of the wrong end of the rattlesnake. I let go of the head and I shake the tail. I was supposed to shake the head and let the tail rattle, you know. But the snake kind of turns and looks at me like, you fucking idiot. You know, and didn't bite me.
Oh, God.
He didn't bite you.
No, he did not.
Oh,
Was he
wow.
devenomized?
No.
Oh my
It
goodness.
was the real deal.
My goodness. Well, so there's a story.
That'll
our
sober
listeners
you
will
up
not hear.
quick.
Yeah, it did whenever I seen it. 'Cause I couldn't remember doing that. And then when I seen it, I went, oh my God.
Well, I've got to find this footage now. I've never seen
yeah.
that promo. It's got to be out there.
Oh, it is.
Do you guys remember who would have come up with the storyline of stealing the $1 million belt? Because it's really kind of a linchpin thing with your rivalry now.
I'm sure
I
it was
don't know.
Vince's idea. I mean, that's always the thing. If a heel has a special thing or that it's his,
Mm-hmm.
and he teases you with it, you gotta want to steal it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether it's a glove, a boot, a belt,
Yeah.
a jockey strap. I don't know.
I don't know if I'd want to steal that last one.
No.
Well, Jake, would this mean that you'd be traveling not only with a snake now, but also the $1 million belt?
I can't remember if Virgil took care of it and I got it each night or something.
Yeah. I don't remember either.
I
don't
would hope
remember.
not.
I know one time Virgil was always supposed to take care of the belt. One time he had set it down somewhere and I snatched it. And I think that was Fresno, California. And Ted was getting the rental car and turns around and the damn belt's gone. He thinks Virgil's got it. Virgil thinks he's got it.
Oh, no.
Then they realize it's gone. And when they finally get to the hotel, because they looked all over that fucking airport for it, when they finally get to the hotel, I'm sitting in the restaurant with the belt on the table. They're like, you motherfucker.
Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh.
Ted, you had to be about.
Teddy was getting ready to make a phone call he did not want to make.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Vince, I lost the belt.
There was another night that I thought I had lost the belt. I mean, I was in Boston.
In Boston.
I was in Boston, and oh gosh, I'm just trying to think. I can't remember the whole story, but I remember looking around and going like, you know, where in the hell it was supposed to be in somebody. I put it in the back of somebody's car, and whoever's car got broken into.
Oh, shit.
I thought the belt's gone, but that wasn't the car the belt was in. But I called Vince that night and I said, Vince, this has just happened. I said, I think we've lost the belt. You know, somebody broke into the car. Da 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 da. He says, don't worry about it. It's insured. We'll get another one. And hung up.
Of course.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah, he was just mad I woke him up.
Ted revealed on our podcast that belt was worth about $40,000 when it was purchased.
Yeah.
Inflation, we're talking about over $100,000 today. Not to mention,
Wow.
you know, it's been on TV and everything else. So, man,
Yeah.
it'd be nice to still.
And I held it for a while.
You should have lost it, Jake.
And because all the stones in that belt, and I think they said there was over 700 in the face of the belt. They're all cubic zirconium, and I didn't know what the hell that was, and my wife said it's almost a diamond.
Yeah.
So but the rib is on the back of the real belt. There are 3 real diamonds right up at the top. Nobody ever sees them. When I saw those, I said, "What's that?" They said, "Those are real diamonds." I said, "Why? Nobody's going to see them." He says, "Well, when anybody asks you if the diamonds in the belt are real, you can say yes, and you won't be lying." It was just like a rib.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
So you thought of everything.
Because we won't lie.
No.
Oh, no. Gosh, they never do.
No. Wrestlers don't lie.
We all know how this
Ever.
one. Trust me. We all know how this one wraps up. You two are on a collision course at WrestleMania, the Sky Dome. Before the match, Jake cuts a promo that I've seen on a lot of top 10 lists for the greatest promos in wrestling history. So that's going to be our final clip this week, is the promo. But then we've also got a post-produced supercut of the iconic match between the two of you guys in front of more than 67,000 people at the Sky Dome.
Jake the Snake Roberts, the match is at hand.
Well, the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. Here we are at WrestleMania, and it's the biggest match of your career. Why? Because everything you stand for is on the line, namely the $1 Million Belt. Oh, yeah. It can be yours once again. You see, all you have to do to get it back is go through Damien and me. But you see, Damien and I don't forget. We remember all the times you made people grovel for your money. These were people far less fortunate than you. People who could use your money for essentials. And what did you do? You made fun of them. You humbled them, and you humiliated them. Well, now it's my turn. I'm going to make you beg, DiBiase. You are going to get down on your hands and knees. This time, you'll be the one that's humbled. This time, you'll be the one that's humiliated. And this time, you will be the one that grovels for the money. And how appropriate that the money you grovel for is your very own. A victim of your own greed, wallowing in the muck of avarice.
Oh gosh, Jake, I remember that. I remember that. That was one of the best promos I think you ever cut.
That's
But Jake was, he's always been, And when anybody asks me, who does the best promo in wrestling, I said Jake Roberts. I tell people that all the time.
That's what I do too.
Yeah.
Between the two of us, we got to be right.
The two of you are really putting that out there, and man, it's like, holy smokes, Jake, that was a hell of a promo.
Yeah.
It
was strong.
Mean Gene punctuated it pretty nicely with the Longfellow comment there at the end.
Well, and the thing that makes it so good is that he hit everything that about my character and what I was doing, and made it so real to the people who were listening. Like, yeah, that no good son of a bitch.
There was no fat on that promo.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Yep. Everything that he said was important, relevant. Just, man, fantastic. Jake, was that off the cuff or?
That was off the cuff. But Vince did give me an extra $10,000 for that promo.
Did he?
No, fuck no. Are you kidding me?
You're
such a mark.
Damn,
Your name is Mark Us.
I am a mark. I totally bought it. Well,
Jesus.
It's like I said, it's on top 10 lists of promos. I've seen it on a bunch of them. So, man, it's absolutely historic. And speaking of historic, this match that you guys did is phenomenal. We've got the super cut right now.
That's what it's all about, the $1 Million Belt. $1 Million Man said to Jake the Snake, if you want it, come and get it. And now this match will decide who gets that gold and diamonds worth $1 million.
I can't think of a better time for a better place than to finally settle this issue between you and I and put it to rest. WrestleMania 6. Not only will I get my belt back, I will put you to rest.
DiBiase extremely upset. What do I have to do to put this guy away? Oh, he caught him in midair.
For all the pain that you've given me, for all the time on the side.
having to sit and wait.
And DiBiase, if you want your $1 million belt, bring your $1 million butt and come and get it.
DiBiase's in trouble. Oh, look at that. Virgil pulling Jake out of the ring. And the dream slept on again. Both men hit the post. The winner of this bout as a result of a countdown. $1 Million Man obviously will sleep better, but Jake the Snake didn't have anybody out there like Virgil to help him back in. You won, you get the belt. Personally, my own opinion, he doesn't deserve it.
Man, hell of a match. Even just seeing the clips of it, it's, man, the chemistry between the two of you guys, and just kind of the overall ambiance. I know everybody tends to talk about Warrior and Hogan whenever they talk about WrestleMania 6, but dude, that match it's got to be one of the all-time greats in WrestleMania history.
I would think so.
I don't know why they talk about Hogan and Warrior. Neither one of them can really work. Hulkster's I'd say he can't really work. I mean, he's not like he could work his gimmick. He knew what that gimmick was, and he did it very well. But like Hulkster's not a guy, and again, he's not the kind of guy who should be doing arm drags and takeovers and some of the stuff that Jake and I do in a match. But yeah, I'm just teasing. But yeah,
Ted, I know you've said it's your favorite WrestleMania match of all time, right?
Yeah, it was.
Easy to see why. And Jake, I know you've got a hard out here in a few minutes, but before we go, we mentioned Warrior. So Warrior is on the rise here, and obviously he's going to become the champion there in WWE. I know that you guys would both have some issues with him down the road, but up until this point, I've heard people say, like, yeah, he was a great guy until he won the championship. Not necessarily about Warrior, but about anybody. Did you guys get along with him at all leading up to the whole thing, or was it always just like...
Nope.
So he wasn't even a great guy before he reached the pinnacle.
He was never a great guy. I mean, he was a selfish SOB. He didn't care about anybody but himself. And it's like, the unwritten thing in wrestling is, I was always taught, in the course of a match, some things can go wrong or somebody slips. Always try to protect the other guy.
That's the number one rule.
Always try to protect your opponent. And if he's doing the same thing, everything is going to work out. The Warrior didn't give a crap about anybody, and he didn't care if he hurt you.
No, he didn't.
And just there's not. I can't think of anybody else. I mean, there's other people that I didn't like so much or whatever, but that is the only guy that, hands down, was just I can't find a word for it.
Don't need one.
Well, yeah, and I mean, what you're saying has certainly been corroborated by enough people now that I think the listeners or fans of wrestling know by this point. Like, man, it's just maybe not a great guy. Cool look, I guess you could say it was a good performer in that he drew a crowd. But man, aside from that, there was just nothing under the hood.
Well, I mean,
once you've seen him, you've seen him.
Yeah, he did the same thing every night, and that was the other thing. I didn't understand. I really didn't understand how. Well, I think I understand now how Vince would, make that guy his champion. Of course, I mean, Vince has always been kind of, he likes the guys with the big bodies, and look at the just came out for Muscle and Fitness magazine look, but this guy had nothing else. But maybe it's just Vince's ego.
Yeah,
I'm going to watch me make something out of this guy.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Watch me make chicken soup out of chicken shit. Guys, I've got to split. I'm going to let you guys finish this up, all right?
No problem. Jake, thanks for jumping in. I know you're busy as hell.
All right, buddy. Bye-bye. Take care. See ya.
Well, look, Ted, we were going to wrap this thing up anyways. So, man, I can't thank you enough for joining us. What a historic, incredible rivalry between yourself and Jake. Just like, man, so fun to watch. And hopefully all of the folks that are enjoying this podcast are going to come and join us over on Everybody's Got a Pod, because Ted is over there telling stories every single week. And man, it's certainly plenty to tell after your long career. Am I right?
Yeah, you got it. As long as you can pull it out of me. It's like, sometimes you give me a hint, and wrestlers do that all the time. Like you get a bunch of guys together and somebody will say something and then one of the other guys will, oh, that reminds me, and they go off on a story that they might not have remembered until somebody reminded them of it. So anyway.
Well, we are making it happen over there on Everybody's Got a Pod. Guys, I want you to give Ted a follow on social media at MDM Ted DiBiase on all social platforms. Follow Jake at Jake Snake DDT on Twitter, on Instagram at Jake the Snake DDT, and on Facebook at Real Jake the Snake. Follow me on Twitter at Marcus P. D'Angelo, and you can follow the Snake Pit and Everybody's Got a Pod on all platforms at Snake Pit Pod and Ted DiBiase Pod, respectively. Ted, I thank you again for joining us. Looking forward to having another chat with you later this week on our podcast.
I can't wait, buddy. We'll see you then. And just remember, everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man.
No better way to end this one. We will catch you guys next time right here on The Snake Pit.